Hello, everybody. This is Mo back with you again. I'm happy to be here today with Mr. Sam Cianfloco. He was a longtime educator and football coach in the Erie area. How are you today, Sam?
Great, Mo. Thank you. Doing fine.
Great. Thanks for taking time out your schedule today.
Pleasure, pleasure.
Thank you. So we always start off the same. If you could tell us, like maybe a little bit where you grew up at, the city, the state, and a little bit about the neighborhood that you grew up in.
Yep. Grew up. I'm first generation. My parents were born in Italy, came over from Italy. I'm first generation. Little Italy lived, grew up there until I started elementary school on West 16th Street, which was right in the middle of Little Italy.
Okay.
And had some very interesting people living there along that block on 16th Street, running from about Walnut to Chestnut, um, who through the years made good of their backgrounds. That is work that, just as an example, within a half. Am I talking too much?
Nope, you're fine. You're fine.
Within a half a block, Mo, we had a Mark's Toys plant supervisor. We had a newspaper editor. We had a pharmacist. We had a high school principal. If you want to include myself, and a captain, retired captain from the Navy, within almost like a half a block.
Wow.
Yeah, and it comes from, I think, that inner city, working your way up, because we lived in a downstairs flat, and
Right.
yeah, so everybody had to kind of pick up and go from there. And when you've caused me to look back.
Yeah.
It's very proud of the fact that yeah. So that's pretty much where I started from. Grew up, went to Columbus School, which is the school still standing, Columbus Park, and went to the elementary in Columbus Public. Then went to Roosevelt. Then it was a junior high,
Okay.
and then started. There really were no athletics other than neighborhood. Once got to Roosevelt, then at about the ninth grade is very interesting happened. Strong Vincent is where I went, but Strong Vincent had some kind of a JV program that you had to get to from Roosevelt. So Don Zona, my friend, who later became the high school principal at Academy, we would ride down on our bikes and play a little JV football down in Strong Vincent. So we did that until Don and I graduated from Roosevelt and went down to became Strong Vincent students. At the time, Mo, there was Strong Vincent, Academy, Tech, and East, and all loaded with great athletes. I mean, when just to back it up a little, starting with baseball or football, Don and I made the varsity in the 10th grade, and we played these round robin games, so to speak, at the stadium. And so I played 3 years, was on the varsity for 3 years, and Don played, I think, a couple years, his junior and senior year. Played against some great Erie teams, and then also some teams from out of town, which Sharon was one, and there were a couple others that would come in and play, or we would go down there and play. But at the time, there were about I think 10,000 school population now in Erie. At that time, the city had about 120,000. Now it's less than 100,000 in the area, I think, population.
Right.
So the high schools were, the thing. I mean, they were the parochial private schools were not the thing. The public schools were the thing where people matriculated, graduated into. So at Strong Vincent, I played both football and baseball, and played 3 years of varsity football, and then played 3 years of varsity baseball.
Okay.
And at the time, baseball was played throughout the summer with high schools. We played at Ainsworth Field, and we played throughout, in the spring and throughout the summer at Ainsworth, and it was very competitive because all these schools had very, fine athletes to speak of. So after following the years at Strong Vincent, graduated, and then in the interim, between the time of Strong Vincent and so forth, that was between 46 and 49 that I was at Strong Vincent. Made all city a couple of years in football. They didn't have all city in baseball, but I played varsity on the varsity team for 3 years, and then after graduating from high school, I started. Went off to college. Went off to Slippery Rock, and played again. Played football and baseball at Slippery Rock. And I was a starter there for 3 years in football and baseball too. I played 3 years on varsity.
What positions did you play? What position?
Pardon?
What position when you played football? What position?
Well, it's interesting. I played both. In those days, they didn't have running backs. They had a halfbacks and a fullback.
Okay.
I played 3 positions. Going back to high school, you played both ways. There was no offense and defense. You played both ways.
Right.
At Slippery Rock, of course, there was both ways. There was one way, and I was offensive tackle at the Rock. Up at Strong Vincent, I really played a number of positions: a running back, an end, defensively. But those were my positions, usually tackle, running back, kind of from the fullback position. And I did get an honor at the Rock. I made the all-sectional team. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette used to pick a first and second team from the area, the Slippery Rock area, from Slippery Rock down to Pittsburgh. And all the schools in that area, of course, they would select some people that they would call. At the time, I think they called it an all-conference something or other. But I was lucky enough to make that. So went the 4 years at the Rock, got my degree. Then I get back to Erie, and I get a call. You got get started teaching whatever school. So I'm a secondary major, but I'm sent to McKinley Elementary School. I'm the only male there. These kids were scared. They were absolutely scared. I walk in, and they gave me like a 3rd grade. So I walk in, and they grabbed her on the desk, and they just looked at me. They were petrified. But the teachers would say, "Sam, what great discipline you have." I said, "I don't want discipline. I want them to talk to me."
Right.
So we went out on the playground. I started to throw a ball around with them, so they kind of softened up. But here's where the break comes in, Mo. 30 days later, I get a greetings from Uncle Sam. I'm drafted. So I go into the military for 2 years, and broke away from McKinley. I spent 30 days there. Then I'm drafted. So I spent 2 years in the military, in the Army, medical corps. And then when I graduate, or when I'm discharged from the military, I end up in Albion Area High School. And there I taught for a couple of years, coached the baseball team. And we won all county 1 year, the baseball. Great experience, great people. But then I had an urging to get into the city, and I finally got, was able to get into the city. And that's when I landed tech at that would be, I just have a note here, that 1958.
Okay.
And who's a freshman there? Fred Biletnikoff. So Freddie's there from 58 to 61.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I began assistant coaching at Tech Memorial High School. Yeah. And Freddie is a freshman. As I start, he's a freshman. Okay. I remember him as a good kid, a good student, not very big. He was only about 6', slightly built.
Right.
But you could begin to tell some greatness in him on the practice field. Wow. And it began to develop with Freddie when more importantly, when we're on the road. In Canton, Ohio, Canton loves their football. He made some catches that the Canton crowd cheered for him. Oh, that's unheard of.
Right.
That's unheard of. He didn't leap that high. He didn't run that fast. You can never hurt him. You can hit him, but never hurt him.
Right.
But as long as he could touch the ball, you got him. It's all he had to do was touch the ball, and he had him. So he goes. So I'm there from 1958 to 61. Okay, and I'm doing my assistant coaching there. Then from there, they transferred me down to Strong Vincent to teach some advanced placement, history, because I'd always been interested in history. And about 4 years later, I was able enough to become coordinator of social studies. So I moved into administration from that point on until I retired in 1988.
Right.
But essentially, I've given you a quick resume of 16th Street to.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Going back to the old neighborhood for a little bit.
Yeah.
Kids now are just cell phone in their hand, constant 24 hours a day. Of course, there was no cell phones in that day, in Little Italy when you're growing up. What did kids do to keep occupied in the neighborhood? What kinds of things did you guys do?
Played ball. Mostly playing ball. That we had the Columbus Park was right across from Columbus High School. But that's what they did. They were playing ball. They did a lot of hanging around, just like instead of being on the cell phone, they would hang around and interact, talk to one another. Right. Okay. Right. I can't remember any serious crime going on or anybody getting in real trouble. Some did. Some of the guys got in trouble, of course. But basically, it was because there was no cell phone. I think TV started. I can remember coming back from college when I saw my first TV. They got the first TV around 1950, 51 or something like that. That I saw my first TV. Other than that, it was playing ball, being outdoors, doing things outdoors. During the summer months, it was swimming, going out to the beach, swimming, but no cell phones.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely.
I was like, I lived during the good years. No cell phone. Yeah.
What were the so when you if you think back to when you played high school football at Vincent, was there a big rivalry between the city teams at that time? Was
Oh,
there
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we played at one point. We drew about 11,000 the stadium against Academy.
Mm,
Yeah, there was intense rivalry in football between the cities because the cities, all the four high schools were fully populated with good athletes,
right.
and the games were. I can't ever like Horseshoe is still there. I can't ever remember a game where we played where both sides were filled and around the turn for most games because there was no TV. They had no Thursday night football. They had no weekend football.
Right.
High school football was the thing. You know, what else did you have? Mercier's wasn't playing football again. You know, those were just colleges. But the high school football was the place to be on a Friday night or a Saturday, you know.
Right.
So intense rivalry and everything, baseball, football, basketball, you know. Yeah.
When you started playing, because a question came up on my football page the other day about about the equipment and stuff like that back in I think I read like 1953 they started wearing like a cover the mask over their helmet. Did you ever experience playing without?
No, didn't wear a mask. Yeah.
There was no mask.
No. Once, if you had, I can recall some when there was injury, broken nose or something, there was a wrap that they would put around the helmet,
Okay.
protect the nose. It became, you know, it became the just before the mask came into play. I did not play when the players were fully masked. No, it was wide open. Yeah.
Did a lot of guys get hurt because of that?
Yeah, I had a broken nose from it. Yeah. Yeah, I got an elbow. And he never looked back. He just, he looked back.
Right.
But a lot of bleed coming out. Yeah.
Who was the head coach at Vincent when you played? Did you remember who?
Sam Kramer.
Okay.
Sam Kramer he was all fiery, tough guy. Good, excellent coach. Yeah. I think at East, Duke Detzel, if I can recall, at East. I don't recall Academy. Academy had some great football teams. Yeah. And East had the wrestling. Yeah. They had good wrestling at East. But basically, highly competitive between the schools. Yeah. But competitive and not at the point of any kind of violence either. It was like athletic or academic competition, you know, and no cell phones.
No. So I mean, when you watch football now, I mean, like you can barely touch the quarterback. You know, guys get penalties for. What do you have you seen big changes in the way football's played?
Oh, absolutely. It's day and night. It's day and night. One of the things that strikes me most is that we don't have college football anymore. We have colleges with football teams. These are not the majority that with that name, likeness, image, money coming in.
Yeah.
You don't have college football teams anymore. You have a step below the pros. You have paid athletes. I don't think they can even identify with the university there. And some of these kids get into the portal 2 or 3 times, and are it's the big. I think the high schools are still obvious because you can't pay. They won't pay the kid. I think the high schools are still nicely handled, managed, and so on and so forth, as I can read.
Right.
But the colleges are they're out of hand. They're a runaway train, and I don't know how they can be reined in either, unless there's some kind of legislation that stops it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Nick Saban said he went before a Senate committee, I guess, and he said that the professional teams now, when these kids are coming in, they don't come in with a background. As you get a kid that goes through 3 or 4 years of college with a major,
Right.
they come in with just football, but nothing else, you know.
Right.
And then I think, well, these kids that are being paid, unless they make 4, 5, 6, 7 million, if they're just getting a few bucks and not paying attention to their major, well, what's going to happen? They graduate from college and they have nothing to fall back on. They don't make the pros. Now what do
Right.
they have? Nothing. Nothing to, they don't have accountant or teacher or whatever. They don't have that. They have a piece of paper with, worth very little.
Right.
Big change, college football, and something has to be done. Yeah. As I watch, of course, I watch football 24 hours a day, but they mentioned this one kid. It's his third team, 3 years, 3 teams. It's terrible. Yeah, but TV is motivating this whole thing. TV is running the show. Mm-hmm. TV tells Penn State, you play noon on Saturday, and Penn State plays noon on Saturday. Why? Big dollars, big bucks. Yeah, big. Penn State does not say no. They say, right. oh, okay. Yeah.
Make the money. Yeah.
The first time that was used was Lou Holtz when it was at Notre Dame. They asked him, TV was just beginning to come in big. So they asked Lou, what time's your game Saturday? And he said, well, call the network. they'll tell you what time we play. Yeah, the TV now runs the show. They right. Because they pay out huge bucks, right. Big dollars to the colleges and universities who are loving it.
Right.
Loving it. Yeah.
Do you remember when you coached Freddie Biletnikoff? Any like colleges coming to see him, or when he do you remember how he got to Florida State? Do you remember any of that?
Yeah. I remember different. There was some. See, his brother was a quarterback. You may have known Bobby Biletnikoff. Mm-hmm. Bobby was a very good quarterback. Went to Miami. Mm-hmm. So actually, more inquiries were made for Freddie or Bobby than Fred at the time. Wow. Because Bobby was a well-built. Bobby was about 6'1" or 6'2", weighed almost 210, and was a good quarterback, a very, very good quarterback. So he actually had more people at his door than Freddie did.
Huh.
Yeah, but so Bobby went to Miami. I'm pretty sure he graduated from Miami, and then I kind of lost track of.
I think he went on to play. When I read, because I didn't know about Bobby until I really started digging into Fred, but I think Bobby went to Miami.
Yeah, he
got drafted by the Yankees, and he played professional baseball, and I guess there was also some professional football teams that still wanted him to play for him because he had a great career at Miami.
Yes, he did. Yeah, and I can't believe Freddie's 81 years old now. Fred Biletnikoff, 81. Wow. And you're talking. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
No. I said I can't believe it. I was looking over some papers and I saw Fred 81. I said I can't believe it. Yeah, but he was one of the greatest. Yeah.
So back in when you were coaching in 58, 61 there, or in the 60s, right during the middle of the civil rights era, was there any issues with that during in Erie at the time amongst the players, or?
it was never an issue, like it, neither racial nor ethnic. There's something, and I hate to brag about Erie City, but there's something about Erie at the time that and again, I think social media, I think not having conflict with these cell phones causing problems between kids and groups.
Right.
That, yeah, I never really felt like being Italian, never felt being discriminated against what I played or when we lived on 16th Street, or feeling any negative thoughts about race or ethnicity. Never. I mean, I just never went through that, and I'm happy about that. But yeah.
Right. So, got a few more questions for you. When you think about a good football player, what makes a good football player? In your opinion, what makes a good football player in your opinion?
Although would be loyalty to his team and teammates. Being loyal to his, loyalty is the biggest thing to team, coach, school, integrity. Yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah, that the football player.
Right.
Then comes the ability and so on and so on and so on. But yeah, that's
loyalty and integrity, biggest.
Absolutely, yeah. I should tell you two things that I'm proud of. I did about 30 years of officiating, football, basketball, and umpiring. Enjoyed the great years, basketball officiating, football officiating, and so those were good years. That kept me in shape.
Yeah. When you look back at your career educationally and football coaching, and being a referee, what are you most proud of about the whole thing? What are you most proud of, or some things you're proud of about your career?
Oh, the fact that I was able to play, the fact that I achieved a couple things. The fact that I played with great teammates, and I had good coaches, and that I was free of, in most cases, of injury. So I was able to play continue to play as a result of that. But I would say that's about it. The rest kind of just flows.
Right. Who were some of the coaches that you coached with at Tech? I just forgot to mention that. Do you remember some of the coaches? Who was the head coach when you were an assistant at Tech?
Yeah, it was Al Calabrese was the and the assistants were Freddie Trott, myself, and Ray Dombrowski, who later became superintendent of schools. Yeah, Ray, and I can't think of the other one. One or two, I can't think of them. But yeah, the funny story there about Ray and myself. Al Calabrese had a trigger finger. He was one day. Freddie must have made him mad. Fred must have done something. So he says to Fred, "Get out of here. Get off the field." during his senior year, he had been great up to that point. So Fred has to leave the field. So Ray goes up down and says, we need him. He's great. He says, well, you go get him, and you don't tell him that I want him back. Just tell him that you kick Fred Biletnikoff up, get out of here. Yeah. I don't know what he did, but Fred, yeah, he must have been looking away or something. But that was very interesting. Right. Kicking away an All-American, All-Pro, a trophy now for end play, and a field named after him. Right. Calabrese kicked them off the field. Yeah.
Mr. Cianflocco, I really appreciate your time today. It's really been great interviewing you. Is there anything else you'd want to share before we wrap up today?
Well, no, first, Mo, I think you're doing just a marvelous thing. Your project that sounds just doggone interesting, and I'm just happy to be part of it. I appreciate it. I'm happy to go over. Probably have not reviewed these things for 30, 40, 50 years. And you've had a chance to regurgitate my thought process. Yeah.
Well, still, you still recall everything that happened. You got a great memory, and I'm glad the people that are going to watch the video are going to really appreciate some of the stuff.
Well, bless them all, Mo, and you, and you tell your mom, send her my love, and continue the good work.
Right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. You have a great night.
Thanks, Mo. Good night.